What do you do when a friend is trying to move you away from God's purpose? When they're trying to steer you the wrong way? What do you do when they're always trying to motivate you or get you to do something you shouldn't be doing? Well, you remember the story where Jesus was prophesying of his crucifixion, and one of his friends spoke up quite emotionally and said, "Not so, Lord, not so." You remember what Jesus said to him? He saw the danger involved here. It wasn't something to be taken lightly because Jesus had a purpose, something to do that the Lord had called him to do. And instead of softly dealing with it, he immediately dealt with it directly, and he said, "Get thee behind me, Satan." And who was he speaking to? He was speaking to one of his closest friends, Peter. And he said, "Get thee behind me, Satan." And Peter didn't know what spirit he was of. And so it's really important for you also to know that sometimes your friends, although they may be very sincere and think they're saying the right things to you, it could be that they're moving you away from God's purpose for your life. When they are trying to get you to do things God does not approve of, or when they're trying to get you to do things you know on the inside of your heart that God has not called you to be a part of, it's really important for you not to allow yourself to be moved away from God's purpose. This is a scriptural example of in Jesus' own ministry of how he dealt with it. Really important for you too, because God has a great calling on your life. And friendships and all your relationships are an absolute crucial part of how you move forward. And sometimes those relationships don't want you to go on with God. And Jesus had something else to say about that. I'll summarize it this way. He talked about if we do not hate our mother and hate our father and, brother and sister and so on, that we are not worthy of him. Now, he's not literally talking about anger and hatred. He's talking about prioritizing Jesus as the sole primary relationship in your life. And healthy relationship with the Lord Jesus makes all other relationships underneath that and subordinate. And as long as you have a strong, healthy relationship with God through his son, Jesus Christ, then you will deal correctly with brother and sister and mother and father and spouses. That's what he meant by you've got to be willing to hate. He's not talking about real hate. He's talking about prioritizing. So sometimes those friends or those relationships you have, they try to get you to prioritize them ahead of Jesus. Very important that you don't do that. And sometimes they try to get you to prioritize them ahead of what God has called you to do. Very important. You're only going to find success and satisfaction in your heart if you just keep your heart moving toward God and loving other people in the ways God has called you to love them.